In a world before the internet, fooling people took real creativity, and throughout history, a handful of brilliant tricksters, con artists, and bored pranksters pulled off hoaxes so audacious that they fooled entire nations. Today, 6 of the greatest hoaxes in all of history. We have got a newspaper that convinced the world there was life on the moon, a chess-playing machine that baffled emperors, and a single prank so enormous that it shut down an entire London street. These are 6 of the greatest hoaxes ever pulled. Let's get into it. In August of 1835, a New York newspaper called The Sun published a series of articles that stunned the entire world. They claimed that a famous astronomer using a giant new telescope had discovered life on the moon, and not just simple life. According to the articles, the moon was absolutely teeming with creatures. There were forests, oceans, and white sandy beaches. There were blue unicorns, 2-legged beavers, and great herds of bison. But the most spectacular claim of all was that the astronomer had spotted intelligent winged humanoids, creatures resembling Batmen who built temples and flew across the lunar landscape. The public was absolutely captivated. The articles were written in convincing scientific detail, complete with detailed illustrations. Sales of The Sun skyrocketed, briefly making it one of the best-selling newspapers in the world. There was just one small problem. None of it was true. The entire thing was an elaborate fabrication, written to boost sales. The real astronomer named in the story had no idea his name was even being used. And remarkably, even after the hoax was exposed, the public was so entertained that the paper barely suffered at all. In 1869, 2 workers digging a well behind a farm in Cardiff, New York, made an astonishing discovery. Buried in the ground was the figure of a giant man, over 10 feet tall, and seemingly turned entirely to stone. Word spread like wildfire. People believed it was a petrified ancient giant, living proof of old claims that giants once walked the earth. The farm's owner quickly put up a tent and began charging the public to come and see the marvel. Thousands flocked from all over, paying handsomely for just a glimpse of the Cardiff Giant. But the giant was a complete fraud. It had been secretly created by a man named George Hull, who wanted to mock people who believed in biblical giants. He had carved the figure out of a huge block of gypsum, treated it with acid and stains to make it look ancient, and had it buried on his cousin's farm a full year earlier. And here is the best part. Even after experts declared it an obvious fake, the curious crowds just kept on coming. The famous showman P.T. Barnum was even refused when he tried to buy it, so he simply built his own copy and claimed that his fake giant was the real one. In 1810, in the city of London, a man named Theodore Hook made a simple bet with a friend. He wagered that he could turn any ordinary house in the entire city into the most talked-about address in all of London within a single week. He chose a random home, number 54 Berners Street. Then, Hook got to work. Over the following weeks, he secretly wrote and sent out thousands of letters, all in the name of the poor woman who lived at that address. And on one chosen morning, it all came together at once. First, a single chimney sweep arrived, then another, then dozens of them. Next came carts piled high with coal, then wedding cakes, then furniture. Then came doctors, lawyers, and priests, all summoned by Hook's fake letters. The deliveries just kept coming, all day long. The street became completely gridlocked with confused tradesmen, important officials, and reportedly even the Lord Mayor of London himself. The entire street was thrown into total chaos for the whole day. Hook, meanwhile, had rented a room directly across the street where he simply sat back and watched the madness unfold. He won his bet and got away with it completely. In 1910, a small group of pranksters pulled off an audacious stunt against the most powerful navy in the world. The British battleship HMS Dreadnought was the absolute pride of the Royal Navy. So a young group of friends, which famously included the writer Virginia Woolf, decided to fool it. They dressed up in flowing robes, turbans, and dark face makeup, disguising themselves as a delegation of royals from Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia. One of the group posed as a Foreign Office official escorting them. They sent ahead a fake telegram announcing the visit of these important royals, and astonishingly, the Navy fell for it completely. The pranksters were given a full red carpet welcome aboard the mighty ship. The officers gave them a respectful guided tour of the vessel. The group communicated in a complete nonsense language, made up of broken Latin and Greek, and they reportedly exclaimed a made-up phrase of amazement at everything they were shown. They were never caught during the visit itself. Only later did the group reveal their hoax to the newspapers, deeply embarrassing the mighty Royal Navy. On April 1, 1957, the respected British broadcaster, the BBC, aired a short news segment that fooled the entire nation. The program, which was known for its very serious journalism, presented a story about a family farm in Switzerland that was enjoying a record spaghetti harvest. The black and white footage showed women gently plucking long strands of spaghetti from the branches of tall trees and laying them out in the sun to dry. The trusted narrator explained in a completely serious tone how that year's spaghetti crop had benefited from an unusually mild winter. Now, remember, back in 1957, spaghetti was still a very exotic and unfamiliar food to most people in Britain. So many viewers genuinely had no idea how it was actually made. Hundreds of people called in to the BBC. Some were angry, but many were genuinely asking how they could grow their very own spaghetti tree at home. The BBC reportedly told them to place a sprig of spaghetti in a tin of tomato sauce and to simply hope for the best. It remains one of the most famous April Fool's jokes ever broadcast. Our final hoax fooled emperors, kings, and some of the greatest minds in history for decades. In 1770, an inventor named Wolfgang von Kempelen unveiled an incredible machine. It was a life-sized model of a man, dressed in robes and a turban, seated at a large wooden cabinet with a chessboard on top. They called it the Mechanical Turk, and it could play a full game of chess against any human challenger, and it usually won. Audiences were absolutely stunned. Before each game, von Kempelen would open the cabinet doors, revealing a complex mass of gears and machinery inside, seemingly proving that there was no trickery involved. The machine went on tour for decades, defeating famous opponents, reportedly including Napoleon Bonaparte and Benjamin Franklin. But the Turk was not a true machine at all. Hidden cleverly inside the cabinet was a secret compartment, just large enough for a real human chess master to sit, cramped, in the dark. Using magnets and a sliding seat, the hidden player could follow the game and operate the Turk's mechanical arm. For nearly 80 years, a man in a box had been quietly fooling the entire world. And there they are. 6 of the greatest hoaxes ever pulled off. Batman on the moon, a giant made of stone, and a chess champion hiding inside a box. These stories are a perfect reminder that people have always been wonderfully and hilariously easy to fool. If you enjoyed getting tricked today, then do the honest thing and hit that subscribe button for more weird history every week. And let me know down in the comments which of these hoaxes you think you would have fallen for. I'll see you in the next one.